Firstly, let's start with what Dominica isn't. It's not the Dominican Republic, and it's not your cliched Caribbean island. So what is it? Well, it's a country that's proud of its indigenous population. Its lifestyle makes its people some of the happiest in the world. It's covered in mountains, and it's also green, really green. This makes Dominica a haven for hikers and nature lovers. Places such as the Mont Trois Pitons National Park are full of waterfalls, and there's the Waitakabuli Trail, a grid of paths that spread across the whole country. But if you want a real challenge, then make your way to the Valley of Desolation and onto the Boiling Lake.
Yeah, Boiling is a very adventurous area. This kind of whole volcanic stuff just boiling up, all this water is boiling up from the surface of the earth, you know. It's quite amazing, you know. This is a very strenuous hike, but it's worthwhile seeing, you know. Normally it's 6 hours, 6 to 7 hours. Some people take 8, some people take 10, depends on how they walk, you know. And you climb up to an elevation of 3,500 feet above sea level and 12 miles in total. And now we now at the Valley of Desolation right about now.
But this isn't the only way to see the spectacular views. The Dominicans are proud of their rainforest aerial tram.
Good morning, lady, and good morning, gentlemen, and welcome to the rainforest aerial tram.
There's plenty of bird and plant life to check out, and the guides are full of local knowledge, as well as an interest in global events, particularly those taking place in the East End of London.
I enjoy watching the EastEnders, man. I spent a lot of time watching the EastEnders. And you know, people like Bianca at the time, crazy girl. Yeah, and Ricky and these guys, yeah, and even this fellas was just crazy, man.
The history of the country is rich and varied. Before the Europeans arrived, the indigenous population, the Caribbeans, were dominant. They've almost been wiped out on other Caribbean islands, but a special reservation means that they're still present here.
The case of Dominica is one where the Caribbean people fleeing from colonization from island to island found the Dominica pretty much a safe area to live because of all this mountainous terrain. And as a result of that, we found out that 100 years after the colonization of other islands, Dominica was still only occupied by the Caribbeans. We are very proud to be Caribs because we form part of that history of the Caribbean. You know, first natives, first nations.
Of course, the country's colonial past, switching between British and French rule, has left an indelible mark. This shows itself in Dominica's unique patois.
Patois is part of our culture. We have a Creole culture on island, and it's a language because it has grammar. And it was brought down to us by the Africans, you know, and it was used as a language of disguise. And since the major colonizers were from Europe, they couldn't understand what was going on. And whether they were planning a revolt or they were planning a party, they would use the language. And it was handed down to us, you know, by our ancestors, and it is very, very popular among Dominicans now.
It's not just language that betrays the struggle between British and French influences. This is Fort Shirley in Portsmouth, a crucial strategic building for whoever was bossing the island at the time. But the area also has a lawless past.
This bay has a genuine pirate background because it was the last island in the Caribbean to be colonized, and this meant that it was under no jurisdiction, no European jurisdiction. And that's what attracted the pirates and all of the other major adventurers. And so it was a pirate center, and there are all stories of wrecked ships and sunken treasure taken by the Caribs and put into huge caves in the forest and that kind of stuff.
And fictional pirates have also found a home here. Many scenes from the Pirates of the Caribbean films were shot on the island, one of the sets being on the Indian River.
That's the area actually where they did build the house of the voodoo woman. It was actually built on like pillars, you know, wooden pillars. All the camera guys was on the right side, you know, and they had to make the place look very dark with some kind of smoke kind of stuff, you know. That's why if you look at the movie, it looks so dark. It looks like night, but it's like daytime. I think something like that was, is really good for Dominica.
Don't be surprised if some of the residents may even be able to remember those days of yore. Dominica is famed for having one of the highest numbers of people aged over 100 in the world.
In the quality of life, in relation to having wonderful rivers in which we can swim and access to land and fresh vegetables, and the fact that people don't have to exist in a sort of rat race environment because of the mainly agricultural nature of Dominica. All of these things lend to a pattern of life and a quality of life that would make you happy and relaxed. It may not be, as I say, budget-wise and statistically a developed country, but what is development, and isn't the most important thing in a person's life happiness and health and contentment with their lives and the land in which they live? That is most important, and it cannot be quantified in statistics.
Escaping from the rat race is just one of the reasons to visit what they call the Nature Island. Dominica is a real break from the norm, a Caribbean island that combines the spirit of adventure with the real joy of life.